All right, welcome back to the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast. Today we have a special edition episode with Cub Swanson from Fight Week in Las Vegas. He's fighting Daniel Pineda on December 12th, which is this weekend. It's only a couple days from the fight. He's taken the time out to be on the show again. Greatly appreciate that. He's a great guy. He's a great person. He trains hard. I'm sure he's really looking forward to this fight, and it's been a year for him, so I'm sure he's very excited to get back in there. So let's talk to Cub. All right, Cub, welcome back to the show, buddy.
Thanks for having me on. Appreciate it.
Fight week for you, man. A couple days away. Thanks for taking time off for coming on the show just 2 days away from your fight.
Yeah, it's been pretty chill. You know, we're just yesterday we were quarantined. Got to do a few things today, so it's been pretty chill so far.
So you haven't fought in like a year. So how is this whole like quarantine situation going with like going through all these measures, and then how is it going to be for you to fight with no audience?
Well, I've been quarantined basically at home. You know, California's been on and off. They're quarantined right now pretty much. So I've been kind of used to it. So doing all the testing and stuff like that, I've helped out a couple other guys for their fights. So, you know, it's nothing out of the norm at this point.
Yeah.
But yeah, and as far as fighting in front of no crowd, I'm kind of excited for it.
Yeah.
You know, sometimes you as a fighter, you understand sometimes the crowd is like overwhelming, you know, it brings extra nerves, and sometimes you step up to the plate and sometimes you don't. So I think this is going to be like a glorified sparring match, you know. It's like no outside help. It's just me and you. I'm kind of excited.
Yeah, at least it's no distractions, because like it goes either way. Like I've had fights where I knew the crowd would be good, and then fights I didn't know if the crowd would be good, and then fights I knew would be bad. Like I fought Dan Hardy in like England, that wasn't so good. Yeah. So it doesn't help when like people are screaming profanities at you as you're walking to the ring by the thousands.
I mean, I've been a crowd favorite a lot, so I've been cheered most of my career.
Yeah.
I did fight Frankie Edgar in New Jersey. I got booed a lot more than I thought I was.
Yeah, it hurts, right? Because I was the same way. I've always been like cheered pretty much, and like when I was in England, it was like I was 9-1 in the UFC at that time, so I was like felt like I was doing pretty well, and then I walked out, and it was like total like just chaos, and I was like just heartbroken. I was like so sad.
Yeah, it's funny because people don't really think that fighters will get their feelings hurt in a way. You're like, man, I never did anything. I never talked crap, you know?
Yeah.
So it's funny.
It's crazy. How did fight camp go for you?
Fight camp was great. You know, a little bit towards the end, I started to get a little stressed out just because the COVID cases were rising. Thanksgiving was coming up. I couldn't really ask anybody not to go visit their family. I just kind of was like, hey, go get tested. You know, I got, one more sparring day. So had to worry about a couple things like that, but other than that, I feel like it was smooth. It was I spent the entire year trying to rehab and get back to 100%, and it was just gradual. And then even my sparring went from like awful to better to pretty good to great. Like, wow, you look great. So I was pretty happy with the progression of things.
Yeah, I hate those first few sparring sessions when you've had time off. So as far as fight week is concerned, how is it different this time? And what are your usual like kind of rituals for fight week, like to get your mind off fight camp and the fight and all that kind of stuff and just relax?
Well, I try to do the least amount. I'm trying to let my body kind of rest up and quiet before the storm. I know I got to make weight, so it's more like cardio stuff, not like anything heavy. I've been with guys and they want to go hard every day.
Yeah.
And they want to run a bunch and that's cool. You know, that's what makes them work. But for me, I like to do minimal. I like to save it all up. And, this one's been, cool. Just, they've been pretty strict. They just told us we couldn't like drive our own cars anywhere, which people had been doing, once we passed the initial COVID test. So now we're restricted to like, if we need to go to the store, go train or whatever, they have to take us. So which I'm fine with, because I don't want anything to stop me from getting in there and being able to perform after a year of trying to get back, and then a payday because I've been able to work all year.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm with you on that. I just talked to Cheeto Vera, and he was the same way as you, and same way I was, where it's like when it comes to fight week, it was like, you're not going to, to me, it's like you're not going to lose cardio and lose shape. All you're going to do is recover and perform better. So I never did a lot of training during fight week. I was always like Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, very light workouts, and that's it. Like, and it was like light if to what I felt. Like I did maybe one round, maybe 3 rounds of sparring, or pad work, and then a couple rounds of grappling light, and that's it. Until I felt I was like kind of pushing my body a little bit, then I'd be like done, and that's it. And then I see these guys in the corner. I remember Dennis Siver. Can't remember. He was at one of my fights, and he was like just crazy training hard beside me, like for like an hour. And I was just like, and it was like Wednesday or something. And I was like, holy shit, man. Like you can't possibly be fresh.
When he was on the sauce.
Yeah, you can't possibly be fresh when you go in there after training like that.
Yeah, I think some people just need that for their mental state. You know, like I said, like for me, as we're losing weight, you know, you get a little bit, you know, your energy's not as high. You can get dizzy here and there. Things ache a little bit more. So that always kind of is if anything, is going to make me go the opposite way of confidence. So I'm like, yeah, I'm trying to break a sweat. I want to break a sweat because I'm drinking lots of water still. But I don't want to, you know, I don't want to do any damage to my body.
And you're fighting a guy in Daniel Pineda that has a little bit of momentum right now. One fight in UFC, but he's got some momentum with some wins and stuff. You had some momentum with the big fight over Kron Gracie, and you had a lot of time off. Do you still feel like you have a little bit of momentum going in, coming off of that win? I mean, obviously it's better than coming off of a loss, but does that still make you feel good coming off a win like that, and knowing that this is where you're progressing from, even though it has been a year?
Yeah, I definitely feel like I got some progression, and I think that I also got some progression from, you know, overcoming the injury and doing it in the timeline that I said I would do it in, and just kind of sticking to my guns on all that. So, I mean, it's not the exact same as winning a fight, but it's a win. And I'm really looking at it as a blessing in disguise, because I was able to spend so much time with my kids, because they're at that age right now that, you know, it's important. And it really made me think about things I'd like to do better, things I wanted to get back to. So, like, one thing in particular, I had been getting away from, you know, just not even wanting to deal with the stress of the fight until the fight. Yeah. And that would sometimes mess with me. So this time I've really, anytime I started to think about the fight and go, you don't got to think about that right now, I go, no, you got to think about that right now. Deal with it as it comes. And then also, like, writing down things that I want to do in the fight, so that way when I get in there, I'm not like, you know, what was my plan? Yeah. I just want to be as professional as possible, because I'm still chasing that perfect performance, and I think that's how you do it.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your family and if it was fun spending time with them, at least during that time. I know you had a similar injury. I blew my ACL, MCL, and meniscus. And I was out. I had complications after surgery the first time, so I was out 910 days in my prime. So you can imagine. You can imagine almost 3 years without fighting in the middle of your prime was shitty. It was like, it was fun seeing the family. It was fun seeing everybody, but I was like, I need to fight. Like, I needed to go back. And that was when I fought on UFC and Fox 4. So it was like, finally I had to fight again. But so I can imagine kind of what that was like. Did you do the rehab correctly and get over it and everything? Because I was really bad at it, and that's why I had all those complications.
Yeah, I listened to a lot of people right away. They told me, don't do this procedure, look for this one. I ended up doing the patella, which is very strong. And people told me, okay, you might feel these things. Okay. I got a physical therapist that was very conservative. And I wanted that in the beginning, because I just didn't want to risk my chances of re-injuring it. Because of my age as well. And then I was consulting with a physical therapist that was very, you know, he would push the envelope and say, you should be doing this, this, and this. So between listening to the two of them, I would try to do it in the beginning. I remember the physical therapist, the conservative one, I was saying, I want to be on a Bosu ball. I want to do this. And they're like, oh, you're not ready. And then I would just ask them every day. And after a week, they say, okay, get on it. And then I got on it, did squats, and like showed them, like, I can do this. So those were little victories in itself, but it's still the mental battle of like almost every night I would go to bed going, did I push it too hard? Am I pushing enough? You know, I just like constantly questioning myself and just wanting to, you know, to make sure I was doing it right. So it was a mental battle. It was a difficult one to overcome, but I feel like I did a great job, and I got my strength back and everything. So
yeah. Well, that's smart, man. Instead of doing rehab, I went to Thailand. I was already building the gym. So 3 weeks after surgery, when I wasn't even supposed to fly, I flew to Thailand to continue working. And I was like, I'll do rehab there. Don't worry. I know what to do. And they gave me all the stuff and all, you know, what to do, extend the leg, extend the leg, extend the leg. And of course, I didn't do it. So all that, like, whatever it is that built up there, built up, and I didn't have flexibility. So they had to go in and like scrape it out. It was a nightmare. But anyway, let's get back to your fight real fast. Do you, without giving anything away strategically, like where do you feel stronger in this fight? Like where do you feel like you have the biggest advantage going into this one?
I mean, I'd definitely say the striking. He's kind of a banger. It's funny when I really watch tape on him, I feel like he does a lot of things that I do.
Yeah. He's
just a little bit more of a brute, you know. I'm more trying to be slick and fast, and he's just trying to just be in your face, which isn't a bad style. I just feel like when I'm at the top of my game, I do it a lot better. Yeah. But he's dangerous on the ground as well, and so I think he's pretty well rounded. I don't think he's like phenomenal anywhere. I think he's just really good everywhere.
Yeah, absolutely. And I know you said you watch tapes. I asked a lot of my guests this. Do you watch a lot of tapes and study strategically your opponents, each one? You get a lot of fighters that say they don't, and shockingly to me, and then a lot of fighters that do. They do every single thing as far as training and watching their opponents and watching tapes and trying to figure out everything they can to get an edge for when they fight. Is that what you do? Do you do the same thing as far as studying your opponents?
Yeah, I like to study tendencies, and I try to look for what positions make them comfortable, what positions make them uncomfortable.
Smart.
I think those are very, you know, big things you need to learn. And as far as attacks, you kind of want to get a good sense of like their stance, their hand placement. Do they have a high guard? Do they have a low guard? Because then you know, like places that are going to be easy points. I always feel like when it's like a 50-50 battle, you got to take those little. I think about it like Street Fighter. Like if you both have the full bar, sometimes you got to do those little slide kicks, like Ken and Ryu would do. Yeah. You know, those little cheap ones that barely take anything. Yeah. Sometimes you got to take those shots, and so. When you study film, sometimes those are the easy ones you can get and chip away at them before the big ones land.
Yeah, awesome, man. What would you say your exact prediction for the fight is if everything goes your way?
I never say first round because I tend to not take people out very early, but you know, preferably second round finish.
Nice.
You know, if I'd love to get a submission. It's been a while, and people just underestimate my ground game.
Right.
But I would imagine he'll try to take me down at some point, and if I could reverse it and catch him in a slick submission, that'd be nice. But TKO is always nice.
Yeah, it's always it's nice for you. Hope you guys are enjoying the podcast. We got to thank our sponsors really fast. This podcast is brought to you by Manscaped, the official trimmer of the UFC, and now the official trimmer of the Real Quick with Mike Swick podcast, and yours truly. Precision engineered tools for your family jewels. The best below-the-waist grooming products on the market, bar none. Great stocking stuffers. Great Christmas gift for yourself, for your friends, for your family. And now you can get 20% discount and free shipping by using code QUICK, QUICK, at checkout at manscaped.com, manscaped.com. That lets them know that I sent you from the podcast, which supports the podcast. It's a win-win for everybody. Merry Christmas. And as always, this podcast is brought to you also by AKA Thailand, the world's premier luxury training resort in Phuket, Thailand. And now you can save 30% off booking group training classes at akathailand.com right now. And those group training classes are good for any time in the future. So you can book a week, you can book 2 weeks, 3 weeks, a month, 3 months, 6 months, a year, however long you want to book right now at akathailand.com. 30% discount. You can actually mix the discount in with the packages that we have as well and still save on the training portion. And you can use them anytime in the future, 2021, 22, 23, whenever you want. You're in the POS, you're locked in. It's the best deal we've ever had, the best deal we ever will have. It has to do with the pandemic, obviously, so you can still take advantage of it. If you have any questions on the products, any questions on the training, the gym, info@akathailand.com. We'll get back to you immediately. We'll also give you updates on when the borders are open or how you can come to Thailand. All countries are welcome to Thailand right now. There's just a 2-week quarantine. I think that's going to be over soon. We should be getting news here anytime now about letting people in with vaccines who have vaccines. A lot of people are getting vaccinated overseas right now, so they're going to have to let those guys in when they can prove they've been vaccinated. All that information is info@akathailand.com. They'll get back to you, give you any information that you need. So again, akathailand.com for all your information. If you're not familiar with the gym, here's the commercial.
What's up, everybody? I am here in Thailand. This is the first time I've ever been here. Been dying to come here for years. Mike Swick, he's one of the big reasons he's been trying to pull me down here. What he built down here, AKA Thailand, is incredible. There's people here from all over the world. You can train mixed martial arts here, jiu-jitsu. They have weightlifting, they have cardio, and obviously they have Muay Thai, boxing, everything. I'm telling you guys, I know everybody wants to go to Thailand because Thailand's so cool, but you can't come to Thailand without coming to AKA Thailand. Come on.
So your juice video, that thing is awesome, dude. The juice guy that went viral, boarding down with his cranberry juice, and then you did an awesome like mimic of that. How did that come about? Like I barely figured out what that was about. I just saw the guy because I'm in Thailand, so I just saw the guy everywhere and become famous overnight. Yeah. And I was like, what's going on? What's the deal with this guy with the juice? And then I saw you, and you did like an exact copy video of that. How did that come about?
Well, I had to do it flipped, so I was upset about that I had to do it flipped. But he did it on TikTok, and I don't have a TikTok, and I don't really have a desire to do it. So I did it on my phone, and so I was reversed. So that was the only thing that wasn't the same. Plus, I had just started being able to be on a skateboard with my knee, so I had to be real careful. Yeah. That was the first time I've been on a skateboard since I hurt my knee. But yeah, a bunch of people were tagging me in it saying I looked like them. So I just thought it was a really good opportunity and really easy video to redo. But I knew I needed to shave my head and kind of try to look like them a little bit more. And so it took me a few weeks to want to shave my head because I wanted to wait until my fight camp was started. Yeah. But yeah, once I shaved my head, I told my wife, like, hey, I'm going to take the skateboard across the street and I'm going to try to do this video. And so she watched the kids for us and I did it in like 7 takes, and I think I nailed it.
You nailed it good, man. I was wondering, did you get a lot of views? I saw a bunch of different people that posted it, so it's probably spread out a lot.
Yeah, I definitely got a lot. It was my biggest social media post in the last year or so, at least maybe last 2 years. I was a little disappointed that the Ocean Spray or UFC didn't even repost it. Oh, wow. And then the guy, Dogface, he didn't repost it or mention or anything. But I did get a lot of random cool people that reached out to me about it, so I was happy with it.
I'm surprised they didn't reach out to you, like Dogface or the UFC or something, at least reposting it.
Yeah. I mean, I thought the Dogface guy would at least comment on it because people tag me in all his videos. So I'm like, yeah, he's got to know who I am. But I mean, he's pretty busy right now, so
he was just jealous, man, because you did it so good.
Maybe.
That's for sure. That's for sure the reason. That's for sure the reason. Huge fight, kind of. I got to ask you. Anytime there's a big fight, I always ask my guests. Conor versus Poirier. Just your overall thoughts on the fight. How you think it's going to go this time, or what your thoughts are about the fight. If you don't want to give an exact prediction.
I mean, it's hard to pick against Conor. I don't like to pick him because I've never been a fan of just him as a person, but he is an amazing fighter.
Yeah.
I was expecting a good fight the first time, and I think, you know, Conor did what he usually does and beats people before they even get in there.
Yeah.
And I you know, it's like they get in there. Same thing happened to Cowboy. They get in there and just the pressure's there, and Conor thrives in that. So I think this time around, you know, Poirier's a lot more grown up. He's learned from that experience. I think he'll still have some nerves, but I think it'll be a good fight. I think it would really be hard to pick against McGregor, like I said, but I'm just hoping that it's a good fight and that they throw down a little bit.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think Conor's a great starter. He gets in there and puts the pressure on fast, and that can just take people back a little bit. And sometimes in this sport, when you get taken back a little bit, that's it. You know what I mean? You lose that momentum, and that momentum is – he has the momentum and you lose it. Now you lose the edge. And I think the difference is going to be that Poirier at least fought him before, and he knows exactly what to expect. So he seems confident. So I'm hoping he brings – a good fight and it becomes like a really good fight and competitive fight. I definitely hope that's the case. Again, I'm with you on it's hard to pick against Conor in the fight, but I'm not surprised at all if Poirier wins. And yeah, I mean, not even at all.
Because I think he's an awesome dude. You know, you know, we fought back in the day, and I've always been a fan of his ever since. So I would love for him to win and see him, you know, do well and get some big paydays.
And now it seems like boxing's like doing this whole thing now too. You saw the Jones and Tyson fight, I assume?
Yeah. I enjoyed it. I wasn't as big of a fan of the commentary like everybody else was. I was a little annoyed that, you know, that I like the Snoop Dogg commentary during the YouTube guy fights, but when you have like, you know, the old veterans that you know are like legends, I would have liked a little bit more traditional commentary. And then I didn't like how they kept referring to how old they were and how they obviously aren't what they used to be. And I'm like, why do you, like, no one's expecting that. Like, stop saying that. Just commentate on the fight.
Yeah. I think you have to be under some kind of guidelines when you're an analyst and a commentator, because you have to be in flow with the organization and with the fight. And Snoop Dogg just obeys no rules. And like he needs to commentate like street fights. He would be hilarious at commentating street fights. Yeah. But it's like when you have Mike Tyson and Roy Jones Jr. and all you hear the whole fight is him saying that it looks like my uncles are fighting. To me, that's not only disrespectful, but it's just not funny. And it's like, no disrespect to Snoop Dogg, but it's like it wasn't funny. And he just kept saying it, trying to get more laughs. But it's like he couldn't hear the laughs because we were at home. So I don't know why, you know, it's like he just kept saying it. But it's like, no, it's not like your uncle's fighting. These are two of the best fighters of all time. And at 50-something years old, they did pretty damn good, in my opinion. I mean, for 50-something years old, 54, 56, whatever it is, that's crazy. Crazy amount of output for guys like that to do, was it 8 rounds of 2 minutes, 16 minutes? That's longer than an MMA fight. I mean, technically it's more breaks, but it's longer. So it wasn't easy.
I agree with you. I felt the same way. So I hope if they keep doing those, like I said, I don't mind the funny commentary when you have guys that's not their
they
thing.
Deserve
you know,
it.
Like the Nate Robinson and Jake Paul fight was, it's kind of a circus act. So you run with that. But when you got the legends in there, I think we owe them that respect.
You got to have that respect. And what do you think, just lastly, what do you think about the YouTubers now calling out all these MMA fighters and trying to pull them into boxing? It's funny they're not trying to fight them in MMA. They're not. It's like training in rugby full time as a celebrity, and then calling out MMA fighters into rugby and being like, "I'll kill you in rugby. I'm a way better athlete and fighter than you, but I train rugby full time, and you train MMA." Yeah. It's like it's not unknown that MMA is the real fighting sport of the world, but they're dragging them into boxing, and it seems like that's the thing. What are your thoughts on these YouTubers now trying to become alpha and take on all these fights and fight other celebrities, fight fighters, fight everybody?
Well, I think at the end of the day, as much crap as they talk, they know that they are only going to keep getting paid as long as they're winning. So they're not going to pick guys that they think they're going to lose to, at least not until it's the biggest payday. Like, I think calling out Conor is another one. I think that's probably a bad matchup for him, but they know that they'll make enough money to where they don't have to do it anymore. Yeah. So I could see that they're being smart about it. But I don't hate that celebrities are trying to fight. I've always, when they talked about it before, like when Brock Lesnar came over, but when they were talking about way back in the day about Joe Rogan fighting Wesley Snipes, I was like, yeah, because to me it just means more eyes on the sport, and people are going to realize when they see that these guys really aren't at the same level as guys like us in our prime. Then I think people will appreciate us more, you know, and it's just more eyes on us. So I don't mind it, as long as I just want to see the real fighters making money, you know, as much money as possible. So as long as that's happening in there, then I'm cool with it.
Yeah, no, I agree with you with the celebrity fights. I've always been a fan of those. It's just when the celebrities start calling out and disrespecting the MMA fighters as if like that hasn't been what they've been training and doing their whole lives is when it gets crazy. Yeah. But I think the fight with Nate Robinson is going to show a lot of them the downside of getting second place and fighting. It's not quite like getting second place in the other sports, and that can happen to Jake Paul. That can happen to Logan Paul. That can happen to anybody. It's not like that's uncommon that you're going to get flatlined like Nate Robinson. And so when you lose, especially like that, and you're a big celebrity, that's going to be a rough one to swallow, because you know it's rough for us when we lose. And there's a million fights, but we're still seeing that highlight video of us getting knocked out, and it's not even a meme. It's not even going around the internet. So it's like it's going to be a tough one for them to swallow when that day does come, which it will eventually come. But they're going to find somebody that's going to be able to lay that punch on them. So I guess that changed things up a little bit. But anyway, we're getting off track, and I know you got a lot to do, and I took a lot of your time already, man. Listen, December 12th, UFC 256, you're fighting Daniel Pineda, and I am excited to watch your fight. I'm excited to watch your return. It's always great talking to you, man. You've always been a great guest. Thanks for coming back on the show, especially on your fight week, taking time out for me. I greatly appreciate it. I'm in your corner. I'm rooting for you. I'll be watching you from Thailand. And thanks again for doing the show, brother.
Well, I appreciate you. Thanks for having me on. Sorry I didn't get back to you right away. I ghosted you for a little bit because, I get like really to myself around fight time. I only like want to hang out with my training partners. I don't talk to my family, like my extended family. But I told you I'd do it, and here I am, and you're good vibes anyway. So I appreciate you having me on. We'll do it again after my fight sometime, and I look forward to coming and visiting at some point.
Dude, definitely, man. I'll take care of you. You're going to love Phuket. We got to get you up here.
All right. Sounds like a plan.
All right, brother. Hey, good luck. Stay safe and get some rest. And let's see a great performance coming up here on December 12th.
All right, will do.
All right, brother. Take care. All right, Cub Swanson. Great podcast again, as always. Great person, great guy, great fighter, and always good to talk to him. Second time he's been on the podcast. I reached out to him. We're going to have him come on, and it was getting close to the fight, so I didn't want to push it too much. And then he finally came through and wanted to do it here a couple days before his fight, which I felt bad because I didn't want to talk to him too close to his fight and do anything that's going to distract him or anything. So I wanted to keep it fun and exciting and just try to cheer him up and get him smiley as much as possible before his fight. So I just greatly appreciate the fact that he took the time out to do the show and come and give us thoughts. I think this close to a fight, you can share your real thoughts and share everything that's possibly went down from the beginning until now, actually from last year when he fought last until now. So I think it was a very honest podcast where we got to see a lot of what's been going on and how he feels. And, it seems like he's in good spirits and he's healthy. He's ready to fight. He's excited. I think he feels confident. And I'm very excited for this fight too. Cub always brings it. And, you know, he's coming off a big win over Kron Gracie. So he does have some momentum, even though he has some time off. Sometimes time off is good. And I think that might re-energize him as well. At this point in his career, he's had like 40 fights almost. So it's not like he's going to have to deal with a lot of rust or it's going to be new for him. And like he said, this might be good with no crowd as well. Where he can just go in there and focus and fight and do his thing. So I guess we'll see what happens. But either way, it was a great podcast. I hope you guys enjoyed it. Leave a comment on YouTube. Let us know what you thought. We love the support. We love the feedback. We just posted Cheeto Vera, Marlon Cheeto Vera. So that's out. And then now we're posting this one just a couple days later. We got some other good ones coming up. We're going to keep them rolling. So stay tuned. We appreciate all the support. Thanks for viewing, and we'll see you next time.